We have got no shortage of things to work on today. So there's a bunch of things we can do to Goldie Hawn. I'm pretty sure the transmission lost first and second gear. Starting to get parts in for James Brown. We'll go over that later. This thing's getting super close to being able to fire up, which is exactly why we're gonna start with the Monte Carlo today. So this thing's all just mocked up right now. Everything's just sitting in it. There's no flex plate or converter in it. And this engine has like almost no gaskets in it aside from the valve cover gaskets. I don't think there's any head gaskets, no intake gasket, no oil pan gasket. Obviously no exhaust gasket. So that is where this thing's coming in. I don't want to ramble too much. We're basically just going to pull the engine out. I'm going to get it on the stand, throw some gaskets in it, and get it ready to back in here. I need a flex plate, and right now the only converter I've got is a stock one that I may run just for the sake of saving a few bucks, because this is pretty much a stock 350. It has a real mild crane cam. I think that's a Performer intake and some headers. Aside from that, bone stock, maybe like 8.3 to 1 compression. It's just something to get the car running and driving and move it around, enjoy a little bit. Real quick, I'm still trying to find some seats for it, if anybody has any. There have been a bunch of people that have messaged me about seats that they have, but they're all so far away. I'm in Michigan. I absolutely need a back seat. Some front buckets would be nice, because I found a split bench, but it won't work with the floor shifter, so that's a bummer. I mean, it would work, but it'd be a hassle. And then this is all from Chase from LSx And Chinese Turbos, the YouTube channel. This is a complete wiring harness for it. There's a Speedway one. It has, as far as I can tell, everything. Thank you, dude, by the way. Everything looks pretty straightforward. I wasn't expecting each one of these wires is individually labeled, like printed on it. Like this one, third brake light. That's rad. It's going to be a nightmare to completely rewire this car, but it'll be worth it in the end. New dimmer switch, new OEM fuse box, a big fat stack of fuses and relays and shit. I cannot wait to regret doing all that. But after that, this thing will start off the key. We'll have turn signals, brake lights, things like that. So it'll be worth it in the end. I know I'm gonna hate it in the moment. All right, that's enough rambling. Let's start pulling this thing out and get it on the stand. We got this fatty out and on the stand. Gonna start pulling it apart now. I don't know if I'm gonna put it all together right away. I at least want to get a different intake because the car bolts on this one are pretty stripped. I could drill it and tap it for a bigger size, but these like basic Performers aren't that great. Ow. So if I could get like a Performer air gap, like an RPM air gap, then I'd gladly throw that on. I might see if I can find some different heads for it. Like even if I just got like the double hump or camel hump heads, it'd be better than these. I don't even remember what casting these are. Like I don't want to do a full build, but I don't want the car to be a real piece of shit. If I could, come on dude, if I could get it to where it's at least making like, you know, 300 horsepower, that'd be pretty tight. Because this thing, let's be real, this combination, like I said, a little over 8 to 1 compression, like maybe 8.2, 8.3 to 1. Long tubes, sure. The intake, the cam, which would be great for just doing burnouts and shit, but you know, whatever. we'll see. I'm always changing my mind on things. Alright, got the heads off. Cylinders are all pretty clean. Not a ton of ring ridge, but there is a little bit. That's alright. That just means that there's more end gap for the rings when I decide to spray it. But yeah, I think it'll be fine. You can see they're stock smog pistons. It would be nice to throw a set of flat tops in it. Or, well, if I wanted to use the heads that I have, I'd port those a little bit to try and bump the flow up a little bit, and maybe put some small domes in this to try and bump the compression closer to like 9.5 to 10 to 1. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be around like 8 to 8.3 to 1 in that range, because these are some monstrous chambers here. I think they're like 76 or so. But since I want to see if I can find a good deal on an intake and maybe some heads, I think we're going to hold this here and turn our attention to James Brown for a minute. So this thing is getting pretty close to actually being able to fire up. It's not close to driving. I still need a drive shaft. I need to do a little bit of rear brake work back there and hook up the shifter. But the engine itself is getting pretty close to being able to fire. I need to run the wiring. I could just like slap it together kind of the way it is now, plug it in and shit, and enough to get it to fire up, but I might as well just take the extra like day or so, run it through the firewall, make it look kind of nice, and then, you know, go from there. Ooh, intake bolts. I can make these work with spacers, but I might just run and grab some good ones. So wiring, base tune, oil, spark plugs, throttle cable I don't need. I can rob the throttle body from something over there, and battery, and it will fire up. Finally got the fourth wheel for Goldie Hawn, by the way. Sweet. This wasn't on the list, but this is something that I was kind of concerned about. It's a super thick, that's what she said, radiator, but it's not like tall or really wide. So I wanted to make sure that I was giving it the best chance of working that it should. The volume is actually bigger than a stock like Silverado or GMC radiator, because the height's the same, the width is about half, but the core is 3 times the size. This is 3 or 3.25 inch core, and a stock like Silverado radiator is a 1-inch core. I know that because I got the HD radiator over here, and it's a 1-inch core. Like these end tanks are pretty big, but the core itself is maybe a little over an inch, but I'd say that's pretty dang close to an inch. So the cooling capacity should be enough for that radiator, but I wanted to make sure that I was giving it the best chance of working, so I was going to use just a cheap little shitty fan. But these derail fans, do you say derail or derally? I saw, do you say derail or derally or Daryl? I was watching like a review video on it, and the lady said derally. I thought that was interesting. But this thing was, God, I don't remember, like 120 or 130, but it puts out, where was it? It's a 12-inch fan that moves 2150 CFM of air. So this thing cooks, dude. So it might take a little bit of massaging to make it fit. I don't know yet, but if it does, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, because I think it'll definitely be worth it. When I was looking at the measurements, it said that it was somewhat thick. Oh, maybe not. This might work. Yeah, I thought that, like this part was going to be a whole lot thicker. It might work, dude. Because the problem is that like support bar right, can I get my pinky there? Right there. Which I could modify fairly easily, but if I don't have to, I don't want to. Oh, that's gonna work perfect. Hell yeah, dude. That's gonna work perfectly. Fucking sick. And takes up the whole, like pretty much the whole space of the radiator. so I'm not gonna have to make a shroud. I mean, I could, but I don't really see a reason to. Ooh, I might be able to use my mounting point for the radiator to mount this too. And then I can just use those like zip click things for the bottom. Frick yeah. Now I don't want to make the same mistake that we did with the electric water pump on Jack Black. So we're going to bench test this thing real quick, make sure it actually works. So this one's kind of weird in that at this side of it, it's all like sealed. Not really sealed, but it has this guard, so I can just lay it up against that. All the moving parts are on this side. You guys ready? You as nervous as I am? Holy shit! That thing kicks ass. Wow. Good lord, that thing moves some air. Wow. So if you are interested in it, right there's the part number, 16925 Durally fans. And then this big box of goodness you might be able to read is a Jegs battery relocation kit. As you can imagine, or maybe you even noticed, there's not a ton of room up front in this car, so we are going to throw the battery in the back. That's what you get, that's it. And then it says that it wants you to cut slots in the side of the box for the bolt tabs. Apparently you're supposed to use those like pieces of all thread on the outside. That's pretty weird. I was just going to run some like self-tappers or something through the box into the floor. Seems like it'd be a whole lot cleaner look than, you know, anything else. Alright, so I got everything out of the back of the car. I'm sure like the first thought is put a piece of sheet metal across and mount it right here, but I don't like that very much. Could put it off to the side here, but it seems like the best place to put it is up there, exactly like that. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of massaging, but putting it there, God, that box is so big. That's what she said. 2, that's what she said in one video. Oh my God. But putting it there will actually allow me to use this like rear trunk hatch area as a rear trunk hatch area. I could make a false floor, like a little shelf for it to sit on out of sheet metal, but I think if I just pound this part, if I just flatten this out, it might fit. You hate to do it, but it fits pretty decently now. Like, I'll definitely be able to make that work. This corner, I'm gonna have to do a little bit of spacing, but aside from that, no big deal. We're good to go. God, it is hot out. So the next question now is, which way do I want to run the cables? Do I want to run them out the back and then forward, or out the front of the box and kind of like under the seat? I want to run them through the floor and out. I don't want to go through the front firewall. I want to go down and out. Just in case there's ever like an event where it shorts out or something, I don't want it to get super hot and catch like the carpet or anything on fire. I'd rather be underneath the car. You know what I mean? All right. Oh yeah. See, right there is proof that sometimes I overthink things. You can barely even see the cables from there. Perfect. And that thing's solid. Battery can't go anywhere. Got the grommets in the firewall, or like this rear floor. Just have to bolt the ground down to the chassis and then run the positive up. Whew, it is hot. It is 95 degrees in this swimming pool right now. I am so freaking gross, dude. But the ground cable is ran to this bolt on the subframe here. So in theory, it should, you know, ground everything. But I do want to do some more grounds just to be sure, because grounding issues suck. So trying to be kind of ahead of the curve. And then I was initially just going to run this right to the starter, but I kind of want to do like some jump points back here somewhere. That's why I have it kind of all janky. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but it would just be easier to put them like back here or somewhere, you know, or maybe even up under here. This is easy to get to. So we'll see about that. I thought about just connecting it to the starter so that we could at least roll the motor over, but then I was like, shoot, I don't have any oil in this thing at all. So unfortunately, that means we are pretty much done with the RX-7 for right now, because it is so hot. I think I'm just gonna call it for today. It's way too hot to keep doing this. I'm so sweaty and gross. And quite frankly, it's just such like little things here and there that, I don't know, it's not really worth a whole video. Maybe I'll dick around with it a little bit more once it cools off later tonight, but for now, I think that's gonna do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video that there was. It's probably a pretty boring one, but thank you guys for watching anyway. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next time, hopefully with something a little more exciting.